In a world full of distractions and temptations, the pursuit of lust is one of the most powerful forces that can derail the spiritual journey of the chosen ones. While it promises fleeting pleasure and momentary satisfaction, the cost of indulging in lust is far greater than many realize. It doesn't just affect the body, it reaches deep into the soul, leaving lasting scars that hinder one's connection to Allah, disrupt inner peace, and damage relationships. The chosen ones, called to walk a higher path of righteousness and purpose, must understand these costs if they are to maintain their spiritual integrity and stay true to their divine calling. In this video, we will explore the 5 prices of lust that all chosen ones must pay, so you can protect your soul, your relationships, and your journey towards spiritual fulfillment. Stay tuned as we reveal the hidden consequences of giving in to temptation. 1. The price of spiritual disconnect. Lust, in its various forms, often pulls the individual away from their core, spiritual purpose. When a person becomes consumed by worldly desires, they lose sight of their true connection with Allah. Every act of indulgence in lust weakens the bond between the believer and the divine, as it diverts the heart from seeking closeness to Allah. This disconnect isn't just about physical acts. It transcends into how we approach our daily prayers, our acts of worship, and our thoughts. The more one gives in to their base desires, the harder it becomes to maintain sincerity in worship. The soul begins to crave the temporary satisfaction of worldly pleasures, pushing aside the fulfillment that comes from faith and devotion. Over time, this detachment causes a spiritual emptiness. The prayers, once filled with connection and meaning, now become mechanical rituals. The heart becomes restless, and the inner peace that comes from being aligned with Allah's will is lost. For the chosen ones, this price is devastating because it interferes with their ability to fulfill their higher purpose in life. A deep, profound sense of loneliness sets in, as the soul longs to return to the purity it once knew. But the path is clouded by lust. 2. The price of emotional turmoil. Chasing lust leads to an emotional roller coaster that leaves the heart in turmoil. Initially, there may be a fleeting sense of gratification, but this quickly fades, giving way to feelings of emptiness and dissatisfaction. The temporary pleasure gained from lust can never provide the lasting peace that comes from spiritual fulfillment or self-restraint. This creates an internal struggle, where the soul becomes torn between the fleeting satisfaction of desires and the deeper yearning for true peace. The emotional cost of lust is profound. It brings about guilt and regret, as the individual recognizes that the pursuit of fleeting pleasures goes against their higher values. This sense of inner conflict erodes mental clarity and disrupts emotional stability, leaving the person feeling anxious, ashamed, and confused. The mind becomes clouded by desires that only promise temporary relief but never true contentment. For the chosen ones, this emotional instability is even more significant. Their path requires clarity of thought, a peaceful heart, and a soul attuned to higher purposes. Lust robs them of these qualities, hindering their growth and progress. The emotional turmoil caused by indulgence in lust can distract them from their mission and lead them further away from spiritual enlightenment. 3. The price of diminished respect. When one succumbs to lust, the first casualty is often self-respect. Lust, by its very nature, is driven by self-gratification and the pursuit of temporary pleasure at the cost of long-term integrity. It lowers one's sense of dignity and diminishes the value of the individual, not just in their eyes, but in the eyes of others. The chosen ones, who are expected to lead by example, are particularly affected, as their actions reflect their inner values and beliefs. Lust brings with it a disregard for the sacredness of the human soul and body, which were created by Allah in purity. When a person engages in lustful behavior, they essentially disregard the sanctity of their own being. This lack of self-respect is visible to others, and even if not directly acknowledged, it subtly affects how they perceive you. People begin to question your character and integrity, especially when they sense a disconnect between your words and actions. Moreover, the more one engages in lust, the more it becomes difficult to maintain high standards of moral conduct. The respect of others, especially those who look up to the chosen ones for guidance, starts to diminish. Lust creates a facade of strength, but in reality, it weakens the very foundation upon which self-respect and mutual respect are built. The price of damage to relationships. Lust doesn't only harm the individual, it also damages the relationships that are most important. Whether it's with family, friends, or a spouse, the pursuit of lust erodes trust and respect. At its core, lust is self-centered and rooted in personal desire, and when one indulges in such behavior, it often leads to dishonesty and betrayal. The emotional distance that grows between individuals is hard to repair once trust has been broken. In a marriage, for instance, lust can lead to infidelity or emotional neglect. The desire for someone other than one's partner undermines the very foundation of love and commitment, creating a chasm that becomes difficult to bridge. Even if the physical act is not involved, lust manifests as neglect of the emotional and spiritual connection that should exist within the relationship. This leads to feelings of abandonment, hurt, and betrayal, which can damage the relationship permanently. Among friends and family, the consequences are just as severe. Lust fosters selfishness, preventing an individual from being present and fully engaged in the lives of those who care for them. As the person becomes consumed with their desires, they lose sight of their responsibilities, and the people around them feel neglected or taken for granted. Ultimately, lust creates a cycle of disconnection, which harms both the individual and their relationships. 5. The price of eternal consequences. The most significant price of indulging in lust is the long-term spiritual consequences it brings. While the immediate pleasures of lust may seem tempting, they are fleeting and ultimately lead to a deeper spiritual emptiness. For the chosen ones, who are meant to walk the path of righteousness and inner purity, yielding to lust means turning away from their divine purpose. This diversion can have profound effects on their soul's journey towards salvation. Islam teaches that every action has consequences, not just in this life, but in the hereafter. Lust, when indulged in repeatedly, leads to the weakening of one's moral compass and can result in greater disobedience to Allah. Over time, this distance from the divine increases, and the individual may find themselves unable to repent sincerely or feel remorse. The heart becomes hardened, and the soul grows numb to the call of righteousness. Moreover, the pursuit of lust builds a barrier between the individual and Allah's mercy. As a result, a person may find themselves trapped in a cycle of sin, unable to break free, facing the risk of eternal loss. The consequences of this spiritual deterioration go beyond the temporary world. They carry into the hereafter, where the stakes are far higher. For the chosen ones, this cost is too great to ignore. In conclusion, the price of lust is one that no chosen one should ever pay. The consequences are far-reaching, affecting not only our connection with Allah, but also our inner peace, respect, and relationships. Stay committed to the path of righteousness, purity, and spiritual growth. At Sacred Deen, we are here to guide you toward a life of discipline, wisdom, and divine connection. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content. May Allah keep you on the path of purity and protect your heart from all distractions. Comment below with a prayer for guidance and strength.